A stark warning from the Capitol. We're in a debt deadline danger zone, and time is running out to get a deal done. Just 13 days left, and now there are at least 3 debt proposals being debated on Capitol Hill, none of them with any kind of consensus. Yesterday, the Republican-led House passed Cut, Cap, and Balance. The Tea Party-backed plan calls for deep spending cuts, a spending cap, and a balanced budget amendment. Republicans cheered the plan. Senate Democrats say it's a non-starter.
It's time for Republicans in the House and Senate to end the political shenanigans, to drop their DOA plan to cap, cut, and kill Medicare, and to begin working with Democrats to solve our fiscal crisis.
Congressman Mo Brooks is a Republican from Alabama. Congressman, good to see you today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Why waste time on cut, cap, and balance if it is, as Chuck Schumer said, DOA?
Well, I hope that Senator Schumer is in error. I believe the American people firmly believe in cutting expenditures, capping how big the government's going to be, and most importantly, far important than anything else, is a balanced budget constitutional amendment that will prevent future generations from being in the kind of financial crisis we're in today. Quite frankly, Senator Schumer's wrong in his view.
In this whole effort to battle out you're saying that he's wrong in his view, but here's the battle. You know, you've got 3 different kinds of plans moving forward, none of them with a clear majority. And President Obama has said he would veto this cut, cap, and balance plan. The Senate says there's no way it's making it through the Senate. So how do you see that it has any chance of success?
Well, let's talk about our Plan A, which we've done a little bit of, cut, cap, and balance, but let's also talk about the absence of even a Plan A from the Senate or the White House. I think it's premature for them to be critical of a proposal that we have put out on the line when they have yet to put anything in writing that can be evaluated by the Congressional Budget Office
but we know
so that we can determine the impact.
But, Congressman, we know there are plans. The President's plan is $4 trillion in deficit reduction, $3 trillion in spending cuts, $1 trillion in revenue.
That's not a plan. That's not a plan. That's all speeches. When you say the numbers that you've just said, where are the details? Where are the specifics? Where is sharing with the American public specifically what tax increases he's going to advocate and how much for each kind? Specifically, if there are going to be reductions in expenditures, what programs are going to be reduced? It's one thing to have speeches and talk in generalities, which is what the President and the White House staff, along with the Senate, are doing. It's another thing to have a concrete proposal that you can look at as a reporter, where you can evaluate it for yourself with some degree of specificity and confidence as to what it is. We need full flesh and blood, not a partial skeleton.
Let's go through what the American people really expect. Our new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll shows that among the deficit reduction proposals out there, 58% support President Obama's $4 trillion plan, regardless of whether it's in writing or not, a mix of spending cuts and revenue increases. 36% support the Republicans' $2.5 trillion package of cuts that would include deep cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, and 62% say the Republicans should compromise on some of their issues. Is compromise in your future? Would you be willing to at least?
Oh, absolutely. We have already compromised.
In what way?
Why should we give Barack Obama $2.4 trillion? It's his debt. It's his debt ceiling. We have already agreed to give him $2.4 trillion if he will just agree with us to solve the problem. And the long-term solution, the only long-term solution, is a balanced budget constitutional amendment.
Why do you lay all that debt at the feet of President Obama when it's clear that the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan added to the nation's debt?
It did, and he's the commander-in-chief, and he could have removed our troops from Iraq and Afghanistan at any point in time if he had so chosen. But let's talk about Barack Obama's position in Washington, D.C. During the 6 years he's been in Washington, our accumulated national debt has increased by more than 50%. And what has President Obama's response been now and as a senator? To increase spending even more. Not to cut it, but to increase spending even more. 2 years as a freshman senator, the debt goes up $400 billion because of deficits. 2 years when he's in the majority of the United States Senate, it goes up $1.8 trillion, and now it's up $2.8 trillion while he's president. It just keeps getting worse.
You're simplifying the issues that were on the plate of the nation at that point. I mean, we were looking at reverting a depression at that point. Everyone, the Fed chairman...
I disagree that we were going into a depression, but go ahead.
Do you have a degree in economics?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Highest honors.
Okay, so you disagree with the Fed chairman, Ben Bernanke. You disagreed at the time, Paul Volcker and others in the White House who said, if we don't do something to get this nation back on track, we're going to have millions of Americans hungry because they can't eat. They can't afford food. I mean, we were on the brink of going over the edge. Are you saying that that's all the fault of President Obama?
I respectfully disagree with respect to 2008. I believe that a free enterprise solution would have worked its way through the process, and we'd be a stronger nation now than we are as a consequence of having spent hundreds of billions of dollars on the types of things that have been spent.
When you have the folks answering our poll and saying that the failure to raise the debt limit at this point, 55% say it would be a serious problem. You have folks who say 39% of them would blame Republicans if there is no deal. Do you believe at this point, regardless of how politically this ends, do you believe you're on the right track? Are you willing to risk not being reelected because of your stand?
It is a serious problem not to raise the debt ceiling because suddenly you're taking $1.5 trillion out of the economy. Yeah. But it's a greater problem if we have a federal government insolvency and bankruptcy because we continue to mount debt on top of debt on top of the American people without proposing a solution to the problem. Let's look at what everybody's talking about with these negotiations. Punting everything past the November 2012 elections. Now, that ought to be a signal right there to the American people that it's not a serious solution when the goal is to put enough debt on us to just get this issue behind us past the elections. But when we get to 2013, where are we? Well, in 2013, we have another debt ceiling increase issue, just like we have now, except that we're weakened as a country because we have $2.4 trillion more that is burdening us down and restricting our ability to cope with the problem.
Congressman, I think that your point is well made about the long-term implications here of not getting a big deal done that truly affects the long-term future of America, not just the short-term.
I am willing to compromise and vote to raise the debt ceiling so long as we solve the problem.
Listen,
I don't want to punt, pass, and kick.
I really appreciate your expertise on this issue. I appreciate your perspective. Thanks for coming and talking to us about it.
Thank you for the opportunity. Good day to you.
Minnesota's governor just signed a deal that finally ends the nation